What a star in the making! And Cody Meister delicious! Believe it or not!
Here comes Classic Empire trying to run down the new leader, Malagasy. Here's the champ, Classic Empire. Classic Empire! Magnum Moon has suddenly opened up a 3.5 length margin, and he's going to be an undefeated Arkansas Derby winner. Get ready, Kentucky, there's a bad moon on the rise!
There's an eighth of a mile to go, and American Pharaoh is putting on a show. He has not been asked the question, but everyone knows the answer. He is indeed the ruler, American Pharaoh, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance as he dominates the Arkansas Derby.
Cortland Simmons with you here at the CS Racing Report Road to the Roses series with a recap of the 2019 Arkansas Derby from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and what was supposed to be a showdown, a rematch between Rebel 1-2 finishers in Division I, Long Range Toddy and Improbable, turned out to be a shootout at the Oaklawn Corral between Omaha Beach and the Bob Baffert train Improbable, as they both separated themselves from the field and made the Arkansas Derby a thrilling renewal. It was won by Omaha Beach by 1 length over Improbable in a stirring stretch run as he finished 5 3/4 lengths in front of the Bill Mott train Country House, with Laughing Hawks finishing 4th. It was Galilean, who was a disappointment, one of my win bets, finishing 5th. Long Range Toddy, who was much heralded coming into this race, finished a disappointing 6th. Jersey Agenda was 7th. Tick Vin Flu was 8th. Gray Attempt 9th. 6 Shooter 10th, and then 1 Flew South picking up the rear for Doug O'Neill. Let's quickly get into a recap of how this race took shape. Improbable, of course, had some issues mentally in the starting gate, had to be pulled out of there twice, whether it was the blinkers, the weather. As we all know, that rain wreaked havoc at Hot Springs in this Arkansas Derby, and with Omaha Beach having already broken his maiden on an off track, it certainly wasn't going to be, even though mud, off tracks can differ from track to track, wasn't going to be a real issue, and it certainly didn't turn out to be, as he broke out sharp, as did Improbable. Both were outrun to the first turn. He relaxed very nicely, and then all of a sudden, not necessarily literally like Secretariat, but he made a 4-wide move going in past the first turn before entering the backstretch and just swept to the lead and took over the speed when it appeared that it looked like he was going to rate and then just sort of forwardly make a stalk and pounce trip. He immediately took the lead, and the fractions at that point had been 23.08. The half, as Omaha Beach picked up the pace, 47.50. 3/4 of a mile, things started like in a lot of the preps, just about all the preps leading to the Derby, slowed down a little bit to 112.46. The mile, things picking back up, the tempo increasing, 137.53 as Omaha Beach started to go into overdrive using one of his multiple gears. And this horse got 15, 16 gears. We don't even know if he's really reaching as far to the bottom of them and using his whole power pack as you would think. But this is where the real running begins, because as Vic Stauffer, as he always does, so accurately called it, though he was part four wide, Improbable was on the move, just picking off horses and getting on Omaha Beach's hip 3 furlongs out at a point in the race in which he left Long Range Toddy in the dust, and we'll talk a little bit more about him and how he just sort of emptied out. And this is where the race in earnest, the matchup between these two horses began. Omaha Beach just would not let Improbable get by. As a description I would give it, he cruised, he accelerated, and he was game in the stretch to hold off a very determined Improbable, who, as I said before, 4 wide, pounced very nicely, dug in, accelerated, kicked in, just got outbid in the end by a little bit better horse. But by no means is this a performance that would deter anyone to believe that at the 1.25 miles, this horse might be as much of a freak as Omaha Beach, and he may benefit if in fact there's a meltdown on the front end, or if Omaha Beach isn't the same horse in Louisville as he was in Hot Springs on this day. Very, very good performance by both of these horses. They are not only the 1-2 finishers from the Arkansas Derby, but it could be argued they're among the top 2 or 3 contenders. These California horses are just absolutely dynamite in the way that they ran. But the added distance of the Derby, the post positions, the weather, all of those variables are going to have to be the things that a really good horse is going to have to endure, and the possibility of you never know, and the possibility of what could happen once they break out of the starting gate. Bob Baffert has been a stickler for believing that it's that first turn and being able to make or break your case to try to win the Derby. Elliott Walden, when he was training horses against Bob Baffert, he's now the CEO and racing manager of Windstar Farm, who of course teamed up with Baffert to win the Triple Crown with Justify in 2018, always said that, I don't know if post positions are that important when you've got a quarter of a mile to get to the first turn. So I think that both points are valid, but I do believe these horses are going to need to be placed in a position where they don't get parked too wide. But I'm not so sure if Improbable, the ground loss, is as big of an issue as it ended up being, that resulted in Drayden Van Dyke being jocked off. He went 4 or 5 wide again at a crucial point in the race. So what was the point of having Drayden Van Dyke replaced? So that's something we'll talk more about, but things may open up, because keep in mind, the winner, trained by Dick Mandela in Omaha Beach, is ridden by Mike Smith, who is also the rider of Santa Anita Derby winner Roadster. So he has a decision to make. Something's going to open up, and possibly Drayden Van Dyke could be back on Improbable, because Jose Ortiz, from the reports, is probably going to commit to Tacitus, the Wood Memorial winner. Then you also have Roadster that may be open, so there may be a choice for Drayden Van Dyke and or someone else. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Meantime, when it comes to what actually happened on the racetrack in this Arkansas Derby, Country House did run a good race. I had said in the preview podcast that it would be, to me, it felt like this uphill climb was going to be even more taxing and demanding than the Louisiana Derby. But he got a little bit more of a clear trip, relaxed very nicely. As in the description, he trailed all the way through, not necessarily literally in the back, but he picked it up. He picked off some horses, driven, and was able to outrun Laughing Fox for the show spot. So he ran very, very well. He ran hard, and again, if anything goes awry, he could be a closer that has a chance to hit the board and maybe even do a little bit more. This race sort of reminds you of how he ran in the Risen Star against War of Will. Accelerated a little bit nicely. He was able to kind of smooth out the quirks with the bad starts and running off course in the stretch. So he could improve in the Derby. He may have to weave a little bit around some of this traffic, but I'm telling you, this was the kind of race that on an off track, especially if you can get a dry track, that'll help. And then with his post position, even though he's a closer, that's going to be important too. So I think he has an opportunity to get back in the good graces of the handicappers, the way people thought highly of him going into the Louisiana Derby. I've said that the Louisiana Derby has a long stretch and it has a lot of keys. And, even though he may not have closed the way you would have liked, he probably got a lot out of that prep. And so I'm not absolutely shocked that he ran well. If anything, this confirms that he's a horse that you got to look out for, even though the closers, the dead closers, are going to be compromised with these stalk and pouncers and these legitimate speed horses. All of it will not go perfectly, but there's a pretty good chance that those horses are going to have a better chance to dominate the Derby, but we shall see. Once again, the final time, 149.91 for the 1.8 miles, so that sort of puts Omaha Beach right in the ballpark around, by my standards, time when beating Spinoff in the Louisiana Derby. Markedly faster than both Tacitus and Roadster, even though many would say that the track was playing a little slower in its new composition at Santa Anita. And then it's obviously light years slower than Cutting Humor in the Sunland Derby when defeating another Twist of Fate in a race in which Bob Baffert's Mucho Gusto set some wicked fractions in that race, creating a radioactive biohazard there. So, but most people are going to really believe the smart horsewomen and horsemen out there are going to really put their money on Omaha Beach to be one of the ones. He's got a lot of gears. He seems to be a horse that seems to need the lead, but it doesn't seem to affect him to be able to turn those cylinders over. And so that's going to be very interesting to see if in the Derby, if he ends up having to be park wide, he has to use a lot of speed, if that's going to empty his tank a little bit when there's other speeds in there, or is he just going to be breathing on horses like Maximum Security and Vacoma? I think there's going to be a lot of cat and mouse because Maximum Security also is a horse that I don't think absolutely needs the lead as much as Omaha Beach, although it could be argued that the horse does have the ability to rate. I think that's going to be important, but he may be just one of those Seattle Slew horses that says, look, here I am, I dare you to catch me. So it'll be very interesting. Improbable ran very well in here. I think this race really confirms those who were wondering if he would like the attic ground, but he's still got a little ways to go. He's still got that quarter mile, but the tactics that he used are absolutely, absolutely outstanding in terms of having a shot in the Kentucky Derby. Again, the ground loss might not be as much of an issue as a lot of people think, but it's something you got to be a little concerned about. As I said before, he lost ground again. And again, Drayden Van Dyke was taken off of this horse because he lost ground on both turns. So what was the difference here? So I'm not so sure if losing the ground makes a difference. I do think in the Derby, though, it is very crucial that he get a little bit more of a ground-saving trip, but he used his tactics very, very well. If he can sort of stay out of trouble and be able to kick into that jet stream gear that he's got as well, that is going to put pressure, whether it be Omaha Beach or any of the other front runners, on these other Derby candidates. And it's also going to be one of the deals where he might be able, not literally to get first run, but he's definitely going to be getting run on, if things go well, on the dead closers, and he might be able to pick off those who are stalking and pouncing, trying to make a run on the front runners in an efficient enough way to be very, very effective in the stretch. But again, it's a little bit added distance. We're going to definitely see if those gears, he and Omaha Beach, are going to basically fluidly turn over, or if they're going to stick a little bit with that extra quarter mile left. That's what makes the difference in the Kentucky Derby. But meantime, Omaha Beach, very impressive for trainer Dick Mandela, the son of Warfront, ridden by Mike Smith, wins the 2019 Arkansas Derby, gets 100 points. He's second on the Derby points list. He wins the Arkansas Derby, punches his ticket not only to be in the starting gate for the Kentucky Derby, but to be a serious contender for the Run for the Roses. Omaha Beach, your 2019 winner of the Arkansas Derby over Improbable for Bob Baffert, with Country House third for trainer Bill Mott, and Laughing Fox fourth for Steve Asmussen. Omaha Beach, trained by Richard Mandela, ridden by Hall of Famer Mike Smith, wins the 2019 Arkansas Derby by a length over Improbable out of the Bob Baffert barn, with Country House third for Bill Mott and Laughing Fox fourth. Omaha Beach, the winner of the 2019 Arkansas Derby.
And now, presenting the field for the 83rd running of the Arkansas Derby. Number 11, Willis Horton Racing's Long Range Toddy. Steve Asmussen is the trainer, and the jockey is John Court. Number 7 is Galilean, owned by West Point Thoroughbreds, Denise Barker, William Sandbrook, Mrs. John Magnier, Michael Tabor, and Derek Smith. Galilean is trained by Jerry Hollendorfer, and the jockey is Flavian Pratt. Number 5 is Alex and Joanne Leblong's Laughing Fox. Steve Asmussen is the trainer. The jockey is Ricardo Santana Jr. Number 8 is Mrs. J.B. Shields Jr.'s and E.J. McFadden Jr. and L.N.J. Foxwood's Country House. Billy Mott is the trainer. The jockey is Joel Rosario. Number 1 is Windstar Farm, China Horse Club International Limited, and Starlight Racing's Improbable. Bob Baffert is the trainer, and the jockey is Jose Ortiz. Number 3 is Fox Hill Farms Omaha Beach. Richard Mandela is the trainer, and the jockey, Mike Smith. Gray Attempt has 3 lengths to make up. Improbable will lose ground going into the far turn. From his rail post position, he'll do no better than 3 wide. However, he is on the move, and here's Improbable all the way up within a length of the lead. And Omaha Beach and Improbable are 1-2 as they run towards the top of the stretch in the Arkansas Derby. Omaha Beach, 3/4 of a length. Improbable attacks on the outside, and these two have sprinted 3 lanes clear of Long Range Toddy. Then comes Laughing Fox, Omaha Beach. Improbable in second. Omaha Beach is now a length in front. Improbable gonna try him one more time. Omaha Beach. Improbable to the outside. Omaha Beach just won't let him by yet. Improbable second. Omaha Beach. Yes. Improbable gonna try him one more time. Omaha Beach. Improbable to the outside. Omaha Beach just won't let him by yet. Improbable second. Omaha Beach. Yes.